Welcome to Cast and Court TV. This is your girl, Miss Public Info, here with the latest and greatest and sometimes hated updates of the most high profile cases going on around the country. Now, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about my channel and what it is. I have a lot of comments. Thank you so much for engaging with me, with my channel, and thank you for your opinions. They're always welcome. But here's the thing, for those of you who might be a little bit confused about what the Cast and Court TV channel is, we are not a news reporting channel. We do give updates, but we also give commentary. I am a former public information officer that worked for the district attorney's office for many years. One of the the largest metropolitan district attorney's office in the state of Colorado, excuse me. And so that said, I have a lot of legal preview and or purview, excuse me. I have a lot of legal purview. I am not an attorney, but I am someone that understands the law, understands the process, understands what's actually happening in the courtroom without the translation. And this channel is really supposed to help those who don't have the legal background, maybe don't understand the legal court process. And I am here to sort of give you the translation of it all without you sort of having to do all of the research and this, that, and the third, right? So that said, I also give commentary, my opinion on some of the topics that I talk about. And one of those topics is the Sean Combs trial and the Sean Combs case. I was very clear from the beginning when I began reporting on the Sean Combs case that I would be giving my personal commentary on it, but I'd also give legal purview, meaning I would sort of translate exactly what's going on in the case so you would understand what these updates mean, what the next step in the process meant, and all of that. But there are episodes where I give commentary, such as the last episode. So some of you were a little bit critical because you said, oh, well, you know, she's not partial or she's not biased. Well, the Sean Combs episodes aren't meant to be biased. They are not meant to be non-biased. They are not meant to be neutral at all. I've been very clear about the fact that it is absolutely an impossibility for me to be neutral on the Sean Combs case. It just is. It's a personal thing. I'm sure those of you who have other thoughts about the Sean Combs case can go to other channels where you think that it's more neutral, that it's giving sort of the explanation that you want to hear that's more biased towards him than against him or whatever it is. But in this particular case, it's an impossibility for me to be neutral about the Sean Combs case for personal reasons. So just putting that out there, just letting you know, and also letting you know that I'm a proponent against crimes against women, domestic violence, sexual violence, any type of violence against women. Women have a right to exist in the community without being stalked, harassed, without being abused. We have a right to exist and date safely in the community without being abused, without any of those things occurring. And so because that is my actual stance and what I believe in, then when it comes to cases like a Sean Combs case, where there's a plethora of evidence, and we've seen this, that show that he's been violent towards women, then it is an impossibility for me personally to be unbiased about the coverage that I'm giving on this particular subject. So if you're looking for a channel, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I'm not hungry for views, for clicks, for any of those things. I do this channel because it's an interesting channel. I've made an interesting channel for people who are interested in the law, who are interested in crime TV, who are interested in what really actually happens in the courtroom process, and they're not sort of just looking for you know, a just something quick to see and keep or listen to and keep it moving. This is a channel for people who are very interested in crime TV, court TV, that sort of thing. So if this is not the channel for you, this isn't the channel for you, period. I will no longer be replying to anyone in the comment section, good or bad, because my focus needs to be on this channel and creating content that you all want to see, right? But my focus is not answering you in the comment section or battling people in the comment section about their opinions about my commentary. You may have your opinions on my commentary. Thank you for the engagement. I appreciate everyone for contributing or watching, even if it's a hate watch, that's fine. And and keeping it moving, keeping it moving. All right. So with that said, I also want to address there was a streamer, B Simone, who was actually followed out of a parking lot. She was coming from Target. She was followed out of a parking lot from other streamers. Now, I'm not really sure where B Simone lives, but she was followed by these guys. They were harassing her. She never told them to, stop following her, but it was very clear that she was trying to make a hasty retreat and get away. And I have this to say. Now, as a streamer, as somebody who has very strong opinions, listen, that kind of behavior is will not be accepted and it will not be tolerated. That behavior, it falls within the guidelines of felony harassment, which includes stalking and making anyone feel uncomfortable and making credible threats to someone. Actually, it doesn't mean that you have to actually make a credible threat, but rather, even your presence can be seen as a credible threat. And you can go to prison, state prison, for up to 3 years if convicted. So, as a streamer, if you all decide or anyone decides that, and I'm playing a little offense here. No one has threatened to do anything, but some of these comments have been quite jarring, and some of you are very strong in your language as it relates to your opinions about my channel. So I'll say this: you can find yourself in a whole world of trouble if you decide to take anything off of this streaming platform or off of YouTube and decide that you want to try and come seek me out and find me. Two things are going to happen to you. You're going to be physically hurt. That's number one. And number two, and that's just one of the ways you'll be physically hurt. And number two, you're going to be arrested. You're going to be arrested, period. So now, may we get on to the news? We may. Now, uh, Soulja Boy. We're gonna start with Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy has been in a lot of a little bit of a little trouble here. What's my word? Kerfuffle with the law this past weekend here in Los Angeles, where he was actually stopped and while he was in a car with some folks coming from a nightclub. He was stopped. Of course, Soulja Boy is 35 years old. His given name, his government name is DeAndre Cortez Way, and he was a passenger in a vehicle that was stopped by police around 2:30 a.m. On Melrose Avenue. The officers, when the LAPD, when they stopped him, they actually spotted a gun inside of the vehicle and later arrested him on suspicion of being a felon in possession of a firearm. Now, if you are a former felon, you may not own a firearm. That's one of the conditions of actually having a felony on your record. And in the state of California, which is where he's here in Los Angeles, you can be hit with a strike for that. And of course, this is a three-strike straight state, so got to be careful with that. According to the New York Post, it wasn't very clear why the car was stopped, but he was out celebrating his birthday at the Poppy nightclub in West Hollywood on Saturday before his arrest. He says, actually, in a video that's actually uploaded to Instagram, that and quote, "I don't need no security." And he was sort of by himself with the crowd around him on the dance floor. Well, now we know why he doesn't need any security. Okay. Now, he turned 35 earlier in the week, but he was celebrating that weekend. He was previously arrested. Now, let's get into the why he's a former felon, and people may or may not remember this about DeAndre, but he was previously arrested for carrying a loaded gun during a traffic stop in January 2014. Now, this was TMZ reported this at the time. And then in 2011, he was also booked during a traffic stop in Georgia where marijuana, cash, and guns were found in a car he was riding in. And he was booked on felony charges alongside four other folks. And then in April, a jury hit him with a $4.225 million verdict for sexual assault claims waged by a woman he used to live with. And I'm not sure if this is the woman he did the marriage boot camp thing with or not. You guys can clear me up on that in the comments, but I'm not sure if it is. But anyway, He's had a lot of trouble beforehand, but as a former felon, and this is just a part of the law, and those of you who are familiar with this will agree that as a former felon, you cannot own any firearms. You can't do that. That's part of it. You can't do that, especially if you are somebody who is still dealing with probation or parole or anything like that, which I don't think DeAndre Soulja Boy Cortez Way was dealing with at the time, but as a former felon, you can't do that. You can't be seen with that. So we'll stay on top of this to let you know how things turn out for Mr. Soulja Boy. Of course, Mr. also known as Mr. the First to Do Everything. And we'll let you know how things end up with that. Now, moving forward, um, we also got some information about Rymir Sadawat. Of course, uh, there's like update after update on the Rymir Sadawat and Sean Jay-Z Carter situation. Of course, Rymir is the claiming to be the illegitimate son of Jay-Z and his late mother. Basically what's happening now is the judge after the judge has in the case has denied Jay-Z's camp, his legal team, denied them the request to have Rymir pay for Jay-Z's legal fees in this particular case. Now, of course, we remember just probably a week ago that Rymir dropped the current latest case against Jay-Z, which included basically accusing Jay-Z of sort of keeping him from pursuing the DNA case. So this wasn't the actual DNA case, but this was actually part of his saying that there's some sort of conspiracy where Jay-Z is sort of utilizing his celebrity, utilizing his name, utilizing Roc Nation and all of his businesses and his legal power, legal firepower to stop Rymir from actually going after him for the paternity case. And so Rymir actually ended up dismissing the this particular latest suit without prejudice, meaning this could be brought up again. And after the dismissal, the willful dismissal that he filed, Jay-Z's people came and said, "Hey, judge, we want him to pay for the legal fees." Well, the judge ruled just at the end of last week, I think it was Friday, he ruled that it will be a no, that Rymir will not have to pay for Jay-Z's legal fees. The judge said that Jay-Z's legal team did not give an adequate reason to have Rymir pay for these legal fees. And in turn, the judge is giving them a bit of a break. He's giving them 30 days to come up with reasons why Rymir should actually have to pay for these legal fees. So that is the latest step there. It's a very, this whole thing with Rymir and the Sean Carter of it all is really, really murky. A lot of people are saying, well, why not just take the paternity test if you're very sure that you're not the father? It's really crazy what's going on with this. Obviously, Jay-Z is probably a little bit concerned about the court of public opinion as it relates to the fact that he's had children outside of his marriage with Beyonce. That can be a branding issue for them because Beyonce is larger than life, and of course, their family and everything connected to her is branding. Essentially, it's all about the appearance and the reputation of it all. So having this case come through and having to sort of submit to a paternity test about something that happened 32 years ago, because Rymir is 32 years old, has children of his own and a wife and family that he's taking care of, can really be a little bit cumbersome for someone like Jay-Z who has a lot at stake. And then, of course, there's this whole sort of notion of the fact that the allegation, rather, I don't know it to be true because I don't know the people personally in the situation, but there's the allegation that Rymir's mother was underage at the time of his conception with his conception with Jay-Z, allegedly, that Jay-Z was in his early to mid 20s and that Rymir's mother was at the time supposed to be 15 or 16 years old. And so we know that Jay-Z has been dogged by the rumor mill of his consistent relationships with underage girls, including Foxy Brown. Some people will probably throw Aaliyah in there, and then others have also tried to throw Beyonce into that bowl as well. But she has come out many times, not directly directly against these allegations, but just in other sorts of offhand interviews or off when she was giving interviews, and sort of talked about the fact that they met when she was 17, but they didn't begin actually dating in a real relationship until she was about 18 or 19 years old, which would make it completely legal. So, anyway, that is the latest on the Jay-Z of it all. We're going to keep you posted on that. We'll let you know the latest and greatest as soon as anything else comes in. I know everybody's sort of chomping at the bit as to what the heck is going on with this and is this thing going to ever die? But as I told you in the last episode that we did, on the Rymir stories, Rymir has said that he said, you know, I'm playing chess, not checkers. I'm going to keep this thing going. I am not going to let up, is what he said. Now, over the weekend, our girl, who we like her, we like her. Everybody likes her. She's very talented. We love her. We love the homage to FloJo as well. But our girl, SHA'CARRI Richardson was in a little bit of legal trouble this weekend. And we're going to sort of talk about, I'm going to look at my notes so I can give you the information from our source, The Source magazine. And we're going to get into this. Now, uh, she was arrested on, it wasn't this weekend, it was the weekend before last, July 27th. She was arrested at Seattle Tacoma International Airport after she had an alleged altercation with her boyfriend and fellow sprinter Christian Coleman. Now, according to the police, Richardson shoved Coleman several times, multiple times. She threw headphones at him. Apparently, they were having some sort of argument. During the argument, that they were having at a public terminal. She was arrested at the scene and booked at the South Correctional Entity in Des Moines, Washington. She was arrested on fourth degree, a domestic violence assault charge, which is a very low level domestic violence assault charge, but it is a domestic violence assault charge nonetheless. And domestic violence against men, it happens. It happens. You know, people, when they talk about relationship violence, they usually go to the, yeah, well, you know, oh, he hit her, you know, blah, blah, blah. But absolutely, domestic violence as it relates to women, you know, provoking and women sort of hitting men occurs absolutely. And as a result of that, not in this case, of course, but as a result of that, there are many situations where men end up seriously injured, some even unfortunately passing on because of this violence. It's not as well known. It's also not as, you know, not taken as serious, which it should be, but it is something that happens. It's something that it's a situation where no one in a relationship should have their hands on the other person. And so I think we saw this also in a situation where it turned into a huge a murder situation with Jodi Arias. Jodi Arias, who is now in prison for the rest of her life. She, the situation where she actually ended up, you know, taking the life of her ex-boyfriend or boyfriend, whatever he was at the time, because she was stalking him and she was committing domestic violence acts against him as well. And what usually happens when it's domestic violence against men is that men are less likely to report. And in this particular situation, because this happened in public, then it was a public nuance. It's not really something that Christian had to call anybody about, right? And the fact that, you know, it seems that they have these altercations and she's pretty comfortable, you know, thrashing, lashing out at him in this way violently tells me it's probably happened before, but he's not called the police or anything like that because, oh, well, you know, he doesn't want her to get in trouble. Very common attitude, a very common reaction to any person who is a victim of partner violence. Also, this same sort of statistics and things go on with same-sex partner violence as well. It's not something that's widely talked about, but the awareness is very important because these things matter. And no one should have their hands on the other person. SHA'CARRI was released from jail after about 19 hours in custody. Coleman, of course, declined to file charges. The incident happened just days before the U.S. Track and field championships, where SHA'CARRI had advanced to the 100 meter semifinals with the 11.07 a second time. She since, as a result, she basically withdrew from both the 100 meters and the 200-meter event. She, of course, is, the reigning world champion of the 100 meters, and in 2024 Olympic silver medalist, and still holds an automatic spot, however, for the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, through, though, we don't know what her participation has been. Obviously, SHA'CARRI has been through a lot. The track and field, USA track and field, did acknowledge the situation, but they didn't really report any further than that. And obviously, SHA'CARRI's been through a lot. She's lost her grandmother. She's lost her mother. She had the little the situation with the marijuana. We were all rooting for her, right? That famous Tyra Banks gif. We're rooting for you. We are rooting for you. So we're all rooting for her, and to really sort of get past all of this. And we're still rooting for her to do that as well. You know, I will say again, I don't care who it is. I am not a proponent of domestic violence in any sort of way. It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it's a woman, if it's a man, or whatever. Because there are a lot of men who they have had their lives taken because of partner violence. Okay, if you are someone who is in a domestic violence relationship, whether you are a man or a woman, you need to contact the authorities. You need to get out of that situation. Whatever these two people do is their business. However, I will say that usually this sort of partner violence, domestic violence, escalates in nature, especially when the victim decides not to press charges, or they decide, no, it's not going to. I'm just going to allow them to do whatever they want for whatever the reasons might be. Now I'm going to play a clip from Christian, because Christian was asked about this, and he gave his opinion about the arrest, his opinion about SHA'CARRI, and it sounds that their relationship is going to continue on. So we're going to play this. Bear with me for a minute, and then I am going to play this clip. I thought it'd be better for me to just play it rather than for me to just tell you what he said, so you guys can see it for yourself. But it's not a good thing, guys. It's not a good thing. Okay, here we go. And this is on X. Let's play the clip here.
Personally, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it was just a silly situation all around. Like, I don't feel as if like she should have been arrested. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, people have expressions and emotions and stuff like that. But she has like things that she needs to work on for herself, of course. So do I, so do you, like everybody. And I'm the type of guy, like, I'm in the business of just like extending grace and mercy and love. And I feel as if like I don't try to look at obstacles either. Like I just look at like situations like this to just like, take a step back, analyze yourself mentally, and then just try to see what you can do to be your best self so that you can move forward, so you can just be the type of person and the human that God needs you to be for his kingdom and for his glory. And so that's why I look at the situation, and like, and I hate the narrative too. Just like, saying it's so negative. But like I said, it's just like in the state of Seattle, even talking to the cops or whatever, he was just like, nothing I can do. It's just like, yeah, it's real. I mean, it's just a sucky situation, but he's a human being and a great person. And I feel like, like we've been able to be like really good teammates like all year. And I hate that narrative too, because us coming together, like we're just two like real dominant personalities. She's, to me, the best female athlete in the world. Like I see it every day. And like, for me in my process, like I just said, like moving training groups, a whole new environment, a whole new, training setup, different than what I've been in the past, like, 10 years in my track and field career, and transitioning and then still coming back running 9.8 and feeling like I got so much more to give. Like that's my path, that's my journey, and like being so up close and personal with her every day, and like I watched the girl like falls on the track like in February. Walk it off like it was, like a plan, but like get back up and have to take like a month and a half to just like rehab and trying to come back. And 3 weeks later, like have a competition and like know what I'm saying? Like she just has a lot of things going on, and like a lot of emotions and forces going on inside of her that like not only I can understand, but nobody can, because she want to win. And I want to win too. And so I know everything that's happening God's plan, because obviously he's going to win. And so that's really the main focus and the thing.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So stop there. I think it's commendable that he, is so um positive about their relationship. I think that's great that she has that, especially given her past, especially given a lot of the things that she has experienced as far as, having some things that she needs to work on personally. Christian mentioned that when he talked about, she has a lot of things going on inside of her that she has to deal with. I think it's amazing that he is a man of faith. It seems he talks about God and about he's just, trying to do it for his glory and things of that nature. But you notice one thing he said was that he alluded to the fact that he may have been trying to talk the police out of arresting her, and that he said there was nothing that I can do, that the cop said, we've got to do it. And it's because it was a public nuance. It was a situation that a cop or someone, probably security or cop that happened to be walking there in that international airport, saw the melee and said she's got to go to jail. You're not allowed to hit people, you're not allowed to do that. And so therefore when you do that, there's nothing that anyone can do, even the victim. Now, once the person has been charged and booked, yeah, then the victim can say exactly what he said. Okay, or what he did, which was he refused to press charges. But outside of that, it's up to the police, like, with the arrest factor. Even if it's just, we're gonna arrest you, book you, and then for the night you gotta go live somewhere else, if this happened to be, at a home or something like that. We've seen that happen before. But because this happened in public and this was a public nuance, there was really very little that Christian and or anyone else could do to his admission. So that's an example where, if you're out in public and someone sees something going on, particularly a law enforcement officer, and they see something happening, there's no opportunity for you to say, "Oh, I don't want him to go to jail," or "I don't want her to go to jail." Like, they're going to arrest that person. Um, and then also, based upon what he said, I will double down on what I'm saying too, about the fact that it's probably something that has happened before, that this is sort of partner violence. Now, he sounds like a great young man. We know that Sha'Carri is, trying her best, and she is a good person as well. She just has challenges, like as he said, many of us do. But I've heard this before in my former line of work, where people are like, "Oh, he would never do, or she would never do, or she's a good person, she this, she that." And this, the victim in the case is sort of the one that's sort of trying to be the savior, if you will, of this person. But there comes a time where if it's too much partner violence, well, for me personally, one hit, one push, one whatever, like, we're gonna both end up in jail, because I don't let people put their hands on me for any stretch of the imagination at all. That's why, that's laughable for me. But in situations where people, give their partner more leeway, and they allow them to do that or whatnot, you can't give too much leeway on that. If a person puts their hands on you, I don't care if it's pushing, I don't care if it's, snatching, I don't care if it's a brush by, it's going to escalate into other situations, other incidents, and before long it may get into a heightened incident situation in which neither of you can control. And I'm not saying that Sha'Carri should be, is a bad person, or that he should be on guard for her or anything like that. But I think any man, since we're talking about this trend that is not as popular, or not as well known, as I should say, not as talked about as uh, male aggressed partner violence, but this sort of trend of female or woman aggressed partner violence. When there's a man involved and he's probably been raised right, never to put his hands on a woman, if you find a woman who is bold enough to put her hands on you, or is not even bold enough, but it's just not healthy, that she's so unhealthy, that she thinks that the only way to solve an argument or a partner situation is to resort to putting her hands on you, then you've got to get away from that situation because that's going to escalate. And I may do an episode here later on about domestic violence, about the cycle of violence. When I was at the district attorney's office, I was also um, our rural domestic violence um, community resource coordinator, and so I worked with a lot of rural families in our rural areas, a part of our rural district, areas of the district rather, who women and men both, who were affected by domestic violence in their families, as well as sexual violence in their families, and really didn't know what the rules were, what the law says, and sort of also providing. I helped put together a domestic violence handbook to, have out in the community so people could really have this resource guide. It was a resource guide full of phone numbers and emails and addresses and things that could help people, with shelters that could help people get out of the situation that they were in. I'm going to put a domestic violence hotline link and a phone number in the description box. It is there. I do that for a lot of our domestic violence episodes that we have. But again, I'm not trying to paint Sha'Carri to be a monster or anything like that, nor am I trying to take up for her. I think this is a situation that is needs to be handled accurately by Christian. This is a personal decision for him, but definitely something that needs to be looked at. And it definitely seems like this isn't the first time this happened. So more to come on that as the legal process progresses, if it does, or if there's any more to add there. Now, we are going to go to this situation in Milwaukee. This crazed individual, I think you guys know his name by now, but perhaps some of you don't know the name of this individual. But this is the man, Maxwell Anderson, 33, who murdered or took the life thereof, excuse me for that triggering language, Sade Robinson, 19. She met him on a dating app. She also had some breaking news as well. She that just came across my screen. She met him on a dating app. She basically, found that they went to a couple of bars. Like when you meet people on these dating apps, you go to bars, you bar hop. She's 19, he's 33. And this happened in Milwaukee. After drinking, they go back to his home. And then apparently he then took her life. And then once he took her life, he dismembered her body and then spread her body parts around. I think they said, and excuse the gruesomeness of this description, but it came out in court. And they said that he actually put an elbow, buried an elbow near a playground, is where they found him. They still have not found Jade Robinson's head, but they did find uh her torso. They found an elbow. I think they may have found a leg, but he completely dismembered her. He has denied that he committed this crime, and at the time of the sentencing, which he was sentenced to life just last week, he still was denying that he committed this crime. It was very clear that he did. They had the surveillance tape that showed the pair going to these different bars. There was also a photo of Jade with her face down, I guess, on his couch. That authorities say that she was actually incapacitated and could not move. Um, and this was a first date. She was a college student in Milwaukee. They met on an app. They don't say what app that they met on, but he was found guilty in June of first degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, arson of the property, because I think he tried to burn her car or something like that, and then hiding a corpse. And then he was sentenced this past Friday, um, and they had their first date at a Milwaukee fisherman seafood restaurant. And and then everything, the melee went on from there. They it was just, it's gruesome. It's gruesome. I won't talk about all of the body parts that they found. But let me be clear. He dismembered this girl like this young woman. He dismembered her like someone would debone a chicken or something like that. Like he literally spread her parts all around the Milwaukee area, finding parts at a beach, at a playground. He torched her vehicle, trying to hide the evidence. Um, they even found a foot and some other parts of the neighborhood that he lived in. And then as weeks went on, they found more body parts. And as I said, they found a torso, her torso, and another arm. It was just gruesome. Now, let me give you a quote from the district attorney. District Attorney Ian Vance Curzon said, after being killed, Robinson was disgraced in the worst way imaginable. Um, he said. And then her father and her sister spoke at the sentencing hearing, and they said the following: He deserves the punishment that he gave to my daughter. This is her father speaking. Everything that he did to her should be done to him. That would be justice. I don't feel like he should be allowed to walk around and breathe air. The moment he did that, he did what he did. Excuse me. He lost that. Um, he made it where I couldn't go to school without having people giving me looks of pity. This is her sister talking, or no longer knowing how to interact with me because neither them nor I knew what to say. Um, for there is nothing you could say for what he did. He made it where I could not ride my bike or without random but kind strangers stopping me because they feel the need to pray for me and my family despite not knowing us. And then her mother called him a devil. And she said that his family, she said a devil and his family demonic. She called the family demonic and used profanity to describe him as she addressed him directly. And I want to get to what the judge said because the judge was very, I don't know if they have the quotes here for what the judge said. Yes, they do. She says, this is Milwaukee County Judge Laura Crivello, and she emphasized that he had failed to take responsibility for the crime because, of course, as I said, he's still claiming he didn't do anything wrong. She said, in part, I have to look at whether you're remorseful, and I don't think you're remorseful in any way. And then she sentenced him to life without parole. But another thing that she said during this hearing is she talked to I think Sade's mother, and she talked about how there's nothing that I could sentence him to, or there's nothing that I could say that would actually give the justice that you deserve. She really went on to admonish this monster for what he did. And I believe he also gave a statement as well when he had the opportunity to address the court. And I believe when he addressed the court, he said something like, "I hope justice is done to find the person," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but even to the last moment, this guy was denying his involvement in this crime, and that's how horrific and sad all of this is. It's just crazy. You guys have to be careful on these dating apps. These dating apps are very, very, very dangerous. I have tried the dating apps as well. For a while I was on and off of them. A lot of my girlfriends and I were on the dating apps, on and off of them. And I've met some okay people on there. I think I've only gone out on maybe two dates. With two different people from the dating apps because I it's hard to date around here, right? But it's just you just don't know who you're meeting. There was also something a situation too where some guy was going around, raping women, in Southern California, that were going on these dating apps. He would, tell them that he would drive them home, and he'd drive them to their house, convince them to come up to his, house or whatever just to hang out, and then he would RAPE them. And and also, we heard the story where there was a woman that actually set up a guy that she met on a dating app, and she set him up for a robbery, and he ended up getting his life taken from him as a result of being on a dating app. He just was looking to have a good time, looking to meet somebody new, and he ended up gone. He ended up deceased because this woman had other plans, and she was working with a third party who her and this other person sort of set him up for to be robbed, and they ended up actually taking his life because the robbery didn't go as planned. So you really have to be careful on these apps, guys. We won't get another opportunity to give Sade Robinson of Milwaukee this warning, sadly, but we can maybe prevent somebody else from going down this road. Okay, guys, we're gonna come back in a few with another episode of Cast and Court TV, and if you made it this long, I'll give you a little preview. Diddy's bail has been denied. We'll be back soon, here shortly. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.